This is Karen Anderson with Supporting Success for Children with Hearing Loss, and I'm very pleased to kick off our webinar that's going to introduce you to streamer automated captioning. There has been a lot of changes in technology over the last few years. It has been amazing to watch this accommodation really grow and change and improve. So I'm very happy that you've joined us and you can share and learn about all that's going on with Streamer. So let's go ahead and get started. Students with hearing loss miss part of what is said, and we know that most students who are deaf or hard of hearing are fully included in the general education setting these days. And unfortunately, for kids who are hard of hearing, even the best, most recent hearing technology does not restore normal hearing. It's often assumed that just like glasses restore normal vision, hearing aids restore normal hearing. And unfortunately, that just is not so. Students with hearing loss will always hear at a quieter volume, plus there's usually some fragmentation, meaning that they have to really expend more energy to listen and really pay attention to what is being said, and that effort to listen leaves them with fewer cognitive resources to truly understand what was said, much less remember it. And as we know, as kids move from grade to grade in school, they are learning new vocabulary, and those expectations for how much vocabulary is learned year to year really ramps up, especially as kids get towards later elementary and then secondary schools. So it really is hard to keep up, especially if you're also trying to figure out, gee, did the teacher say this word I'm familiar with, or is it a new vocabulary word? So it's not a surprise that many, if not most, of our students who are hard of hearing end up with gaps in academics. Even if they start with a really good first couple of years in kindergarten and first grade, it's very typical, but that by second grade we're starting to see some academic gaps, and that these grow over time, again, because the child is not receiving full auditory access like their class peers do. I really like to use the story I'm going to show you because it adapts the words to make them read similar to how a child with a 25 decibel hearing loss would be able to hear the words. And we have to remember that, as I said, hearing aids do not restore normal hearing. And so even with a good hearing aid fitting, it is often about 25 decibels with well-fit hearing aids. So let me go ahead and I'll tell you what the actual story is. I'll give you a second to look at the words. And this is a well-known children's story. Once upon a time, a city mouse went to visit a country mouse. The country mouse lived in a field. He was glad to see his city friend. The two mice ran about the field and played until noon. So you can see that they're missing the endings of words, and those words that are unemphasized, that just aren't as loud as we're speaking, those are often just missing. They're hard to catch auditorily, especially when you have a hearing loss, even one with well-fit hearing aids. So when we think about trying to allow these students to learn optimally in the classroom, or have at least as good a chance of learning as their hearing peers, we really need to consider the kind of accommodations that are needed to level that playing field. And the Americans with Disabilities Act specifies that schools must ensure that the communication of students with hearing loss is as effective as it is for their peers. thereby affording an equal opportunity to reach the same level of achievement that is provided to others. Well, how is that done? How is that playing field leveled? It is leveled by providing auxiliary aids and services. And when we think about what those are, ADA specifies that that list can include like sign language interpreters or FM/DM hearing assistance devices and captioning. These are all examples of auxiliary aids that are included under ADA for the purpose of leveling the playing field in the classroom, of trying to provide that equal access. So if we know that most of our hard of hearing students will not hear everything in the classroom, and as they go through their class years, classroom discussions can be very, very important as we look at secondary school and how the instructors are really trying to help students understand and receive that deeper level of learning. And unfortunately, small group work, paired work, and classroom discussions are very challenging for our students, as is just listening to that teacher day in, day out, hour in, hour out, because of the fatigue factor. So when we consider Streamer as a classroom accommodation, it really is for the purpose of filling in the blanks. So when we think about how it can be used, it can be used as a primary accommodation where the student is really looking at the text of what is being said more than they are listening, because they don't have that capability to listen as well to the teacher. Maybe they have an interpreter and they're also using captioning. A lot of schools are doing that. But what we see happen most often is that Streamer is used for children who are hard of hearing as a secondary accommodation, meaning that they're wearing their hearing aids. Most of them will also be wearing a hearing assistance technology device like an FM or a DM system. And the child is going to be watching the teacher, looking at those communicators, and really trying to use lip reading and other things. And the captioning is used to support better comprehension. So when the child realizes he's missed something or something seems unclear, he can then look down at the captioning, just like you can now, to see if he has missed a word or a concept. So it's for clarity and to provide, again, that fill in the gap kind of service that hearing technology just doesn't do completely. And then Streamer also can facilitate student transition. So we know that students in the US who have IEPs have to have a transition plan. And unfortunately, half of people who are deaf or hard of hearing are employed, and which means the other half are not employed, or they are vastly underemployed compared to their capability. So we also know from research that the better the education and the opportunity to succeed in higher education, the better they're going to be at succeeding post high school. And when we think about the IEP transition plans, they certainly should include preparing that student for post-secondary positions or programs or employment, but also to increase that student's understanding of which accommodations they require to function in what settings, and providing them with different types of accommodations so that they can experience the options, and then how to request appropriate accommodations. So even a 30-day trial with Streamer during the child's transition program will help him further understand use of captioning as an accommodation, and he can experience that for himself. Now, just like anything, there is no one accommodation that is perfect for all students. It is truly a very individualized accommodation. What fits the students best, what helps them succeed most, and what helps them communicate as effectively as possible is the right accommodation or set of accommodations for the student. And when we think about Streamer, it is a captioning option, and we know that there are CART opportunities where you would have a CART transcriptionist in the classroom who can hear everything in the classroom. You can also have the option of remote captioning, where the captionist is listening to what's going on in the classroom through Skype. And then Streamer provides a third option to that. And the automated captioning systems through software, you now have a number of opportunities. There's not just Streamer out there. We know there's also free options through Microsoft and Google. And Rob is going to tell you about the security concerns with those free options. But what I wanted to say, and I'm kind of excited about, is that after the last webinar we did last month, I went back and looked at the transcript that you're seeing like right now under the slides, and I really did a count to see what the number of inappropriate words were throughout the whole transcript. And I figured it to be that the transcript had a word accuracy of greater than 98%. So Streamer captioning is really pretty accurate. And then we think about the automated captioning doesn't ever get inattentive, and it doesn't ever call in sick, and it doesn't ever have a bad day. So yes, human beings certainly have their advantages, but having an automated option is also something that's worth serious consideration if you're really looking at captioning options for students. So today's webinar, again, thank you all for joining us. We really want to answer your questions about how does Streamer work and to experience it for yourself. And you've been doing that since this webinar started. Could it be suitable for your students? Well, as we go through the webinar, you'll be learning more about what Streamer does and the options for what else it can do above and beyond just the straight captioning like you see. And then as we go through the webinar, you'll also find out about how easy it is for you to start a 30-day trial to give it a try yourself in your home, or if you're a parent at home with your child, before you ever enter into a 30-day trial in the classroom. So I am very pleased to be partnering with Robert Palmquist of Auditory Sciences. He is the developer of Streamer and has put his heart and soul into this for well over a decade. He does a great job of demonstrating and explaining this captioning option. So hey, Rob, take it away.
Well, thanks, Karen. Yeah, I appreciate that introduction, and thanks everybody for joining us. Let me get this a little bit bigger so you can see everything. And this is Streamer, so there is nobody in the background typing away here or anything like that. What you're seeing is a live captioning of what I'm saying here, and it's all being done automated. Couple of quick items here. If you noticed in the left-hand column, it identifies the person who is speaking. So in this case, there's a picture of me, and if I scroll up here a little bit, yeah, I guess I'd have to scroll up quite a ways to see Karen. But certainly we support multiple speakers. And so if you're in a team teaching type situation, the student is going to be able to see what is being said and also see who is saying that. And so that's kind of a nice little feature to have, to be able to keep track of who is saying what in any particular part of a conversation. So again, there's nobody typing here in the background or anything like that. This is all automated software. So by design, very much a secure system. Everything is completely encrypted. You alone control all the access to your data. Something very important these days and becoming more important with student privacy is the ability to ensure that these systems are secure and there is nobody else that's potentially getting access to the data or potentially selling that data to third parties. And definitely with Streamer, this was designed at the very beginning to be secure. A little bit of background, this was designed with the US Marine Corps for use in military operations. That was its original genesis. And so from the beginning, this system is very much designed with security in mind. Show you some quick things. Right now I'm obviously captioning everything that I'm saying. In addition to that, students can do things, for example, add notes to the captioning. And so if I scroll over here to the right side, you can see some of these, what we call phrases. And the student can enter their own phrases, create their own color categoried phrases. And if they have something, for example, as the teacher is talking, and there's something important that they need to do to study for that test, they can just double click on that. And that note gets automatically inserted directly into the transcript. Again, the student can create their own notes and their own color categories. And these are private notes that are not going to be part of the transcript that everybody else would see. So if you have 5 students in the classroom all viewing the same captioning, each of those students can add their own private notes. And when they save that transcript, they're going to see those notes as part of the transcript. Let me show you that right now. So if I want to save a transcript, well, what I can do is come up here to Streamer Settings and click on the Download Transcript option. I can select the time frame, so in this case, the last hour, and also the Word format. Most people use Word, which would be document. And also here I have the ability to include a summary of the transcript. And let me go ahead and download that so I can get back to captioning. Oh, there we go. I'm going to save this to my desktop so I can find it. If I can find my desktop, there we go. And so what I just did is I saved a transcript of this particular conversation. And if I open that up, go grab it here. And I'll drag it over to the screen. There we go. And at the very top here, you can see the summary of everything that's being said. And down below here, you can see the entire transcript. And if I scroll all the way down here, you can see that note that I entered. Probably hard for you to see that actually. Let me make it a little bit bigger. But you can see the note that I inserted and it's color coded. I'm going to close out of that again. Let's get back over to Streamer. There we go. So again, in addition to captioning, the student can use this as a note-taking system, and the student defines their own notes, can create their own categories, and all they do is double click, and that gets inserted directly into their transcript. A really nice feature. Some other things that you can do as a student, or as a teacher, I mean, are things like send a message to somebody. And so if I wanted to do that, I can just come down here into the text bar and type message. And if I wanted to send one to, I don't know, let's see. I know this is an account. So right there, I just sent a private message. So you could do this for a student, for example, that perhaps you want to send them a note. Hey, are you on task? Are you paying attention? Maybe they've drifted off a little bit and you want to just bring them back to being able to focus on what's happening in the classroom. Or maybe you have an appointment with a student that's going to come down to your office in 20 minutes. And so they're sitting in their classroom and you can just type them a little message saying, hey, we'll see you in 20 minutes. And that message then is going to pop up on their computer. And if you want to, it can be a little tone that will ring. And that gives them that reminder that, hey, come on down in 20 minutes and you know, we'll have our get together at that time. Several other things you can do within the Streamer software beyond just simple captioning. For example, if I wanted to share a document with somebody, I just drag that into the window, click attach, and that now is sent. And everybody then that is in the Streamer room at this time has that document directly onto their computer as well. So lots of stuff going on here. I guess one other thing I'll show you real quick. I don't want to spend too much time on all the features, but this is kind of a new one. It's kind of a neat one. And so I can launch an overlay tool. And let's see if I can do this in real time here. There we go. And I'll pull back up the PowerPoint slides. And so what you can see now is that this is an overlay window that resides on top of a another presentation or a Skype session or something like this. So instead of viewing the captioning within the streamer window, now this is an overlay window that resides on top of whatever the student is looking at. So it's just kind of another way to view the captioning. Instead of in a separate window, this is now superimposed on top of an existing window. I kind of like it. It's a new feature that we just added. I'm going to close out of this and go back to the actual streamer window itself. All right. Let's get back to some PowerPoint slides and talk a little bit more about some of the features. So again, let me see, I'm going to move this window just a little bit. There we go. So when you configure a streamer website for your school, that's exactly what you're doing, is it's a website. So kind of historically here, people are used to apps, and you download an app to a student's device. And in order to do that, you need to go get permission from somebody in your computer department to get the device, and they have to get a password, and they download it, and it gets installed. Then you give it back to the student, and if there's a problem with that install, then they have to go back to the computer department. Just makes a big hassle. And what you're going to see is software is moving away from this thought process of having to download apps and moving to web-based interfaces. And that's what Streamer is. This is a website that you're going to create for your school. That may sound difficult, it's not. It will take you less than a minute to create your website. We've automated all that for you, and we'll be doing that in a few slides here. So again, think of this in terms of a website that your school owns, and because you own it, you can share it with as many students as you want, create as many user accounts as you want. You can use it as often as you want. There's no per minute limits or per session fees or anything like that. It's your website that you own, and you can share with as many students as you want and use it as often as you want. So again, very important, this concept of a website versus an app that you have to go through all those hassles to take care of. On that website, again, you're going to be able to caption and translate. I haven't talked much about translate. I guess I have one slide on that. And take notes of classroom instructions, all built into the capabilities. Again, no installation required. This used to be a big hassle, and with Streamer, it's just gone away. All you do is go to the website, and you can manage everything from that website. And because it's a website, it runs on pretty much any device that uses a browser to connect to the internet. So iPads, Android phones, iPhones, Kindles, laptops, Chromebooks, any device that can connect to the internet using a browser is going to be able to support Streamer absolutely fine. We do not care at all about how much RAM you have on your computer or the CPU or something like that. You could buy a $49 Amazon Fire or Amazon Kindle, and that's going to work just as great as a, I don't know, $5,000 laptop. We don't care at all about what sort of processing power you have on your system. Certainly we caption conversations, and this may get a little confusing, but I do want to talk about contextual based captioning for just a second. Something like Microsoft Translate or Google Live Translate, Google Live and Translate, is that what it's called? But with the Microsoft and Google products, what you have is basically a static based contextual based system. And so what they're doing is looking at previous words, and when you speak the next word, it's going to use those previous words to try and get the appropriate spelling of that new word that you've just spoken. We take this a significant step further in that each new word as it's spoken, we look at the past words and then we correct past words. So we have both forward-looking and reverse-looking contextual-based corrections. And that's why we can get so much better accuracy than you have with Google or Microsoft or Amazon type products. There's a lot going on there. And I guess I won't go into any more detail than that, but significant neural net capabilities in order to make that happen. We also definitely support multiple simultaneous speakers. And so if you're in a team teaching type situation and you have multiple people talking perhaps at the same time, no problem whatsoever. You can have multiple people talking at the same time, and Streamer will handle that absolutely just fine. I showed you real quickly the ability to insert notes directly into the system, and So definitely you can do that. They're color coded, and so the student creates their own categories depending on what they want. Double click and it's inserted. Um, Very simple to do. And I mentioned briefly that automated summary of the lecture. And so if in your classroom instructions, maybe it's an hour-long instruction talking about I don't know, the history of George Washington or something like that. When they save the transcript, they can automatically summarize that transcript, or I'm sorry, summarize the contents of that transcript into a single paragraph. And that's going to be placed at the top of the transcript itself. Kind of a nice little feature when it comes to the thought of note taking. So that was an input that we got from various teachers, and Karen Anderson suggested that. And so certainly we value your input. Um, just one slide here on language translation, because we have a lot of schools that are using Streamer now to support English language learners. And so if you're in that situation where perhaps you have a classroom where, let's just say you have 30 students, and out of those 30 students, you may have 15 different languages that you need to support. With Streamer and your school's website, you'll have a single captioning room where, as you are speaking English, each of these 30 students are going to see and hear what you are saying in their native language. So if one student speaks Vietnamese, another Korean, another Thai, whatever it might be, whatever languages they speak, as you are saying something, they're going to see and hear it in their preferred language. And when they respond back, it's going to be translated into every other student's and your language. So in this case, we would have Vietnamese going into Spanish, into Russian, into Korean, and into English, of course, so you can hear it. So this is a complete United Nations type capability where it's not just simple bi-directional translation. This is very much multi-directional translation, and it does support both captioned and spoken output. So lots going on there. Very sounds complicated, but it's not. It's actually very easy to set that up, where if you have a situation where you have multiple people in an audience, perhaps that's students in the classroom, or perhaps it's parents coming to an evening production of a theater program that the students are putting on. Now those parents, if they don't understand English, are going to be able to watch that performance and hear it in Russian or whatever language they prefer. Kind of nice. Speech generation is also built into this. So if you have a student that is nonverbal, certainly they can type or write out phrases that are spoken out loud, but that takes a lot of time. If you're in the class and you have a question for the teacher and you start typing it out, by the time you finished typing, the teacher's probably moved on, and that student maybe is a little hesitant, should I say, to ask that question. So what we have is this capability called Phrase Builder that makes it very easy to rapidly construct phrases that are then spoken out loud. Really a nice feature. I won't go into it in much detail, but contact us if you'd like to know more about Phrase Builder. It really works great for being able to rapidly generate phrases that say exactly what the student wants to say. So you're not limited into some pre-constructed phrases that you're locked into being able to only say that. It is flexible and much faster than having to type everything out by hand. Those are spoken in a preferred voice, so a personalized voice. And they're also voiced on the recipient's platform. And that may sound a little bizarre, but this was a huge deal when we started implementing it. The positive feedback we got from this was enormous, because there's always this issue of a speech generation system where I needed to have some amplifier on my body in order to make it loud enough so somebody across the room could hear what I'm saying. When we play the audio on the recipient's device, on their smartphone or whatever it might be, now that speaker is right next to their ear, and it really works well. Again, multi-language support built in there. I do want to emphasize this, I guess, a little bit more, the private and secure side. I was having a conversation last night with an educator, won't say names here, but remember back when, maybe I'm dating myself here a little bit, but when we first came out with MySpace and then Facebook and all these various sorts of social media platforms, there was huge concern by consumers in terms of posting information that everybody could see, and that posting will be there forever. That's still a concern. But at the beginning, everybody talked about this. Be very careful what you post on social media because it's going to be there forever, and anybody can see that at any time. And what you think may be appropriate today may not be appropriate or viewed as being appropriate, say 10 years from now. That same situation should be happening with the Amazon Echoes and the Google Dots and the Microsoft type capabilities, where when you're using their free speech recognition apps, by definition, when you agree to use those, you have to agree to their terms and conditions. And for example, in Google's case, when you agree to those, as part of that agreement, if you look down there, you are agreeing to give them a perpetual, never-ending license to be able to record your audio and use that audio however they want, including selling that to third parties. You have to view that if you're using those systems, that everything that you're saying is being recorded and it will be permanently archived and could be available at any time for somebody else. So just a thought that certainly it's there. Just to emphasize this point, this individual, I don't know if you know Bill Fitzgerald, but certainly somebody who's very active in the role of student privacy. And in this particular case, he was talking with the Amazon representative, and you can read the response there. I mean, it's very clear when you look at their terms and conditions of using their free products, what you are sacrificing in terms of the ability to use them for free. And what you're sacrificing is that you are giving them all your data and giving them the rights to use their data as they want. Streamers been around a little while. Certainly we've had a lot of different committees that have looked at this and analyzed it, and we've gotten a lot of awards. This is one in particular for the education side. So this is kind of a big deal, getting best education technology product of the year. Actually, that's a very big deal. And so we're very honored to receive those awards. But certainly this is a system that people have reviewed in detail. For example, the military and the government and such, where they go through very exhaustive in-theater field trials to find out indeed it's secure and it supports and it works and all the above. So certainly a lot going on here. Again, this is a website that supports an entire school or school district. I'm going to stop out of the captioning here for a second and jump into the lobby. So this is a typical lobby of what you would see in your school's website. So this is not a real school. Greenvale is just a fictitious school that we came up with here. But I just wanted to kind of show you what the website is going to look like when you create one for your school. So in this case, it would be the Greenvale School. And we're going to show you how to do this. It takes less than 1 minute to create your website. We'll show you that in a minute here. But in this case, what they have is a room that they reserve for morning announcements and after school events. So let's say you have 20 students across the Greenvale High School that would like to see a captioning of the morning announcements. All those 20 students are going to jump into that room and they'll be able to see it. Here's one that they just reserved for translation events. So if somebody comes to the front counter, a parent, for example, that wants to take their child to see the dentist, but that parent only speaks Russian, now you have the ability to remove that language barrier. So this is just kind of a room that they reserve for those situations where they need a language translation, maybe an IEP meeting or something like that. The rest of these rooms here are assigned to individual students. So in this case, their 6th room is assigned to Emma Benson. And what Emma can do then is throughout the school day, all her classroom instructions and conversations at lunch or at the media center or after school basketball practice, whatever it might be, she's going to be able to use that to caption those conversations. She could also, we're absolutely fine with the concept of her using it in the evening with her family, or if she has a job maybe at McDonald's or something like this, she can use that anywhere at any time because again, it's your website and you can use it as often as you like. All right, let me get back over to captioning so you can see that again. There we go. So now my captioning is turned back on and we'll jump back into these PowerPoint slides real quick. So again, this is a website that we're going to show you how to create for your school. It takes less than a minute. and it's customized for your school. All your captioning rooms are in the lobby. Typically, one room could be reserved for morning announcements and events, the other one for language translation situations. But where you're going to start probably is to assign individual rooms to a specific student. And so if you have a student and it's part of their IEP, you are giving them this accommodation, they will use that room throughout their day to caption or translate conversations. As part of your website, you're also going to get an admin account that you're going to be able to monitor all usage of the site and set permissions. So for example, if you have a student, let's see, how should I word this, that's a little more mature than others, you're going to give them more permissions on using the site. You're potentially going to make them an owner of the room, which means they could invite friends to come in and join them in the room. All sorts of other privileges that you're going to give that particular student. And perhaps you have other students that you're just, again, I don't know how to word this quite, but you're not going to quite trust them as much. And so you're going to restrict their permissions a little bit. Very easy for you to do that, to customize each streamer room and each account to match the capabilities or whatever permissions you want for those particular students. You as an admin can see all the rooms and monitor the activities. The individual students can only access the rooms that you have assigned to them. So a student is not going to log in and see all the rooms in the lobby. They're only going to see the rooms that you have given them permission to use. Again, that sounds kind of complicated. It's not. It's very simple to do. So again, I promised that I would show you how to create your website, and this is how to do that. This is creating your school's website, but right now, if you're not comfortable creating one for your school, I understand that. Go ahead and create one for yourself. And so if you have a browser, you can do this right now with me. It takes less than a minute, as I've been saying here. But all you want to do is go to the web address there. And so you have to type that out, but just open up a browser and go to the web address that is shown. And when you do that, you're going to be shown this form that's on the right side of the screen. And we're just going to fill it in. So it's 5 questions, very simple. And once you fill it in, you're going to have the website created for you. So again, it's absolutely fine to create one for yourself, just to play with it so you can become familiar with it. You don't have to set it up for the school. Creating the website, the 30-day trial, completely free. You don't need a credit card, so we won't charge you at the end of 30 days or something like this. So again, very simple to do. Go ahead and enter your email at the very top, whatever email you want to use. That's important because we're going to send you information on how to use your website to that email, and enter your name, of course. If you were setting this up for your school, what we recommend is that the name of your streamer account be your school name followed by -admin. So in this particular case, on the form, you can see Greenvale-admin. And so that's what we recommend, because that's going to be your admin account. That's the main account that you're going to use to manage your website. And the next thing we recommend is for your first streamer room that you name it your school followed by -01. Each additional room that you add, you'll just increment that number. So in this case, Greenvale-01. So again, absolutely fine for you to create your own personal account right now and use it at home, play with it, become familiar with it. There's no cost involved, no credit card you need to use or anything like that. You're just entering the email address, your name, the name of your desired streamer account that you'll use to log in, and the name of your first streamer room. That's it. So pretty simple. I guess you have to click the button. So last step, click that button and you'll be able to do that. We're going to give you a copy of these slides, so if you weren't able to do that right now, you'll be able to do that later on as time permits. I do want to talk a bit about the typical classroom setup that you'll use. So this is within North America. In the Middle East and Africa, it tends to be different. I did notice that we have some folks from Australia, and this tends to be the typical setup in Australia as well, and England. So looking out here, I see some attendees from England as well. So again, this tends to be the typical setup for all those situations. But Middle East and Africa, they tend to equip each classroom with accommodation versus the student having the accommodation. Just different philosophies. So again, for most of you, what you're going to have is a teacher with a wireless microphone. Okay, and that can be an existing wireless microphone. So if you have if the student already has one, for example, a system from Phonak, you're encouraged to go ahead and use that existing microphone. You do not need to purchase a new one or purchase one from us. So a wireless microphone and some sort of device, and it can be any device that can connect to the internet using a browser. And so Chromebooks and iPads tend to be the most common these days. I guess Chromebooks tend to be more common than iPads, but certainly whatever you have, whatever the student is comfortable with, you can go ahead and use that. The requirements are just that you have a streamer website for your school. And again, we just showed you how to create that. It takes less than a minute. Have that device that can connect to the internet, and we want to connect using a Chrome browser. We've designed a lot of these features to really work with Chrome. Chrome is free. Go ahead and download it and use Chrome. And then, of course, that wireless microphone. Again, we do not care at all about the CPU or the amount of disk space or the amount of RAM or anything like that. So please don't go out and think you need to buy some $1,000 device in order to run Streamer. This is what it looks like. And the reason why I really like this picture more than anything else is that this particular student looks just like every other student in the classroom. There's no particular big bulky device sitting on their desk or something like this that makes them look different than their peers. And that can be a really big thing depending on the individual student. And so it's really nice that they can just blend right in. In this particular case, that looks like a Microsoft Surface Pro, which is kind of a high-end device, but definitely whatever you have in your district, go ahead and use that. Absolutely fine with that. During the school day then, what the student is going to do is carry that tablet and the wireless mic to each room that they go to. Here I say they're going to open the website to view the captioning. In real life, they're just going to create a desktop shortcut, and they'll double click on that. And that will place them directly in their streamer room. So instead of having to open a browser and log in, just double click and they're directly into their room. They're going to add notes to the transcript wherever desired and save it at the end of the class period. And if you give them permission to clear it, which we recommend, then they'll clear it and go to the next class. Pretty simple. After the school day, the students still can use Streamer, and they're also going to have those transcripts and their class notes to help them with the studying. Pretty much in all these webinars, we get asked the question, does every student have the ability to download the transcripts? And the answer is by default, yes. They do have that ability to save and download transcripts, but you with your admin account can turn that off. So if you're not comfortable with the student having a copy of the transcript, you can by all means certainly turn that capability off and they will not be able to download a transcript. Usually that's not an issue at K-12, but we do see it at universities from time to time where a professor does not want to, what should I say, give away their proprietary information and have all their lectures be transcribed and available. But definitely you can turn that off. So one streamer room can support multiple students in a ELL classroom. And so again, a common misconception is that you need a streamer room for every student. And that's true if the student is going to be captioning all their lectures. But if you're talking about an English language learning classroom, and again, I used the example earlier, I think where you had 30 students in that classroom, you only need one streamer room to support all those students, okay? So again, whatever is being said is going to be simultaneously translated and spoken aloud in each individual student's language. And when they respond, that in turn is going to be translated into everybody else's language. Really nice. Definitely you can use Streamer to caption other events than just in a classroom. I talked earlier about morning announcements. There was an interesting case, I guess I'll use that word interesting, a very unfortunate case would be probably a more appropriate word, where you had a student that wanted to be on the baseball team that had transferred into the school district, so was new to the district, was a excellent baseball player, and missed out on the opportunity to be able to try out for the high school's baseball team because it was only announced over morning announcements. And so this student was unable to hear that announcement and missed the ability to try out, and all sorts of situations arose because of that. So please don't just dismiss morning announcements as not being important to a student who is hard of hearing or potentially deaf. Certainly the ability to be able to get those morning announcements can be very important for them. Same thing with all school assemblies. If you have a student who's off campus, perhaps in a hospital, whatever it might be, you can use Streamer to support that as well. Lots of different environments. We do typically get a lot of questions about microphone systems, so looking at the time here, I'll just skim over these real quick. If you already have an existing wireless microphone system, go ahead and use it. For example, that Phonak system. If you do that, we strongly recommend that you spend $5 and buy this special cable that we have made to support Phonak systems. It just makes life simple. Do not go out and buy a rigid plastic adapter that's going to convert the output port of your Phonak MyLink system to your computer. Just spend that $5. The rigid plastic ones break off. You get a plug stuck in the computer. The cables we had made are 12 inches long, I think. So instead of a long cable coiled up on a desk, something like that, very easy to use. The link there, that video link, we're going to send you a copy of these slides so you don't have to worry about writing that down. But that's going to give you great information on how to use an existing wireless FM system. Mike has done an awesome job putting together these videos. They're very short, very concise, and to the point. I think there's about 10 or 12 of them up on their website right now, and each one is maybe a minute long. But again, I strongly encourage you to later on open up that link. Actually, I'll include that. We'll send you an email with that particular link in the email after this webinar, just so that you can open that up and take a look at those tutorial videos. That's a really nice way to do that. We do offer wireless microphones. We certainly do not push them. We encourage you to use your own microphone, but definitely if you want to purchase one of ours, the most common or the most popular one is this Nano system. And it's a very nice system, but it's also pricey. You can see it's $500 there. But the thumb drive receiver, and so no batteries in that receiver, easily fits in a pocket. It comes with your choice of lapel headset or handheld mic. You get 2 of those. By far in schools, what they tend to select is 2 lapel mics, one that you're going to use throughout the day, and a second one as a spare. So definitely those exist, but also you can just go purchase one online. So whatever works within your budget. If you have a Bluetooth system, I was talking with Karen earlier today. I think, Karen, you spent $9 on a lapel mic, and works great. So definitely go ahead and purchase one online. We're not pushing our microphones at all. You can go use whatever one you want. Oh,
hey, Rob, can I just jump in here? I
yeah.
wanted to say that when he first offered this free 30-day trial, I thought, well, this is cool. I want to try it by myself, just like one of you people who are going, gosh, how can I just give it a try? And so I went and I spent, like Rob said, $9. Looked at Amazon for lapel microphones for Android phone, and I got a $9 one, and I plugged it into my smartphone and brought the Streamer Center room that he had assigned me up, and I was able to play with that. I was at a conference and I used it. I was talking to somebody and I passed the microphone to them, and we went back and forth and just really had a really interesting experience seeing how the captioning worked and how easy it was. So when Rob had mentioned using a Phonak mic, that's going to be great for kids in school that already have a Phonak mic. And when he talked about potential for the student to use it even when he was at home, think about home in terms of being able to tap into the streamer room on his smartphone and have a little $10 lapel mic that he can then pass to the kid who's sitting right next to him, and they can have a conversation and he can actually see those captions as they come up. So thanks. I was just really excited about that and wanted to jump in.
Yeah, no, that's great. And people can now also see how we can support multiple speakers. And so again, if you're in a team teaching situation, anybody can jump in at any given time. And if people are talking simultaneously, Streamer will handle that just great. So all sorts of capabilities there. Let's go back to the slides here. I did want to mention this one real quick. For our dual system, we do have a very nice bracket that mounts that receiver on the back of a smartphone. So it's there, but again, use whatever microphone you want. We're absolutely fine with that. The price per room. So again, creating your streamer website for your school is absolutely free. You can create as many user accounts as you want. Those are absolutely free. What you're going to be paying for is each captioning room that you have on your website. So the cost there, $39 per month or $390 per year. We also have a permanent option that you could have if you want to be a never-ending subscription. But typically schools are either going $39 a month or $390 a year. And again, this is unlimited use, unlimited number of user accounts for each streamer room that you have. I did notice this slide. I meant to change it because if you order the system through Karen's website, and we'll show you that at the very end here, you're going to get the language translations for free. And so instead of paying $59 a month or $590 a year, you will get these for free. So there's no reason that you should order the $59 version through Karen's website. Order the $39 version because the agreement with Karen and her team, with that, you're going to get all the language translation capabilities built in. So a good reason to go to Karen's website when you purchase Streamer is that you're going to get those language translations for free. And even though you may think you're not going to use them, you'll be surprised. As you start getting the systems, you'll say, hey, now I can speak Russian to this person that just appeared. Certainly big discounts. The more rooms that you purchase, the discounts kick in. And so yeah, definitely lots of different items. And if you have questions about that, I know Mike certainly can answer any sort of pricing questions that you have. But the key point here I wanted to stress is that you're going to get all the language translation capabilities for free with the captioning system. So if you're going to make a purchase, focus on that $39 a month or $390 a year versus the more expensive option. Also, just throw this one out. We do this quite a bit. But if you are attending a conference or hosting a conference, let us know. Our goal here is to remove communication barriers, and so we're more than happy to set up a free conferencing translation and captioning system for you. Just contact us and we'll make that happen. And so during that conference, whoever attends is going to be able to view a captioning of the presentations and or a translation of those presentations completely free. We're going to do that absolutely for free for you. So just contact us and we'd be happy to do that. All right, so I think I spoke a little long there, Karen. I'm sorry about that. But let me jump through. That's a little too fast. Again, we're going to get you these slides at the end. So the various video tutorials and such, and the quick start guide, the links to be able to download that. We're going to send you all that info. I'll include that in the email that gets automatically sent to you. For questions, we'll include this in the email as well. So I think we're going to have a lot of stuff there. Hopefully we can keep it a little bit short. But here is the contact information to get a hold of individuals. All of us at Auditory Sciences, we are the developers of Streamer, and so we'll be able to answer in detail any sort of technical questions you have. But Mike is really the expert in terms of deploying this system into classroom situations. We understand the technology very well. Mike understands the classroom situation very well. We deploy into all sorts of environments, be it adults in the workplace, to churches, to performance arts theaters, whatever it might be. We're all over the place in terms of the situations in which we deploy into, whereas Mike is focused specifically on schools. And so he will be able to answer any questions that you have with respect to those type of deployments. An excellent resource, and I certainly strongly encourage you to use Mike's vast knowledge in being able to deploy and use these systems. Okay. Let's see, Karen, why don't I let you take it over here and pull over the website, and you can mention the certificate and such.
Sounds great. Well, I really appreciate everyone who has joined us, and I welcome you to send me an email just saying send certificate, and I would be glad to give you or send you a PDF of a certificate of participation for 60 minutes. And you would send it to Karen at success for the number 4 kids whl.com. So is there a way that you can flip back so that they can see that? Because I will really only honor this through Thursday. So
Whoops, went too
I'm
far. Let me.
ready. Yeah, I'm ready to take any of your requests for certificates now, but only now through tomorrow.
There we go. There's the address at the bottom there. I hope you can see
Thank
it.
you. Yep.
Yeah.
Thanks so much, Rob.
Okay.
Yeah, so please, folks, send in your request, but I will only honor them through tomorrow night. If you send it on Friday, it'll be too late. And if someone is going to be listening to the recording afterwards who did not participate in the live meeting, this is not an opportunity for them. So please, now I'm ready to go to the website, and in the last 4 minutes, show people where to look for more information on the Supporting Success for Children with Hearing Loss website. All right, do I have control?
I think so.
All right. Oh, look at that. Okay, so you would sign into Success for Kids with HearingLoss.com, go over to products, just like I did up here, stream down, and look, this is all of the streamer captioning pages. So we have one that talks about candidacy for students. There is a checklist there that might be helpful for you. Ideas for assessing the benefit, because that's a key issue. We want an accommodation that is truly beneficial. We don't want to get an accommodation and keep one just because it sounds good, if when indeed it really isn't helpful to the student. Rob had mentioned using Streamer at your next conference. You can find more information about that by clicking here. What I wanted to do is just click on purchasing Streamer, and just to show you the page, because people want to know more about the purchasing part of it. You can certainly do a free trial. In fact, we really want you to do a trial. We don't want you to go and say, hey, this sounds good, we're just going to buy a year's worth. Please do a trial first. And we want this to be a good fit for students, for your purposes, and it's important to give it a try. So here it talks about, you just do add to cart, and it brings you right to that form that Rob already showed you and you had a chance to fill out. We certainly want you to try it with your existing microphone system. Here's some considerations about that, and a quick tip video that Mike Massini has done. Mike works for Supporting Success, and he has been a wonderful resource and has worked with the different FM systems and the different situations, all of that. We take fax payments or email orders, or certainly if you're talking about purchase orders, or you can just do it online right through this page on the website. So here's the free trial. The individual captioning per month. We still have the individual captioning plus language translation, but you can see this is a deal that we're doing at this point. This is, so you're going to want to get the $39 a month subscription or the full year for both of these opportunities for the same price. You can see the quantity discounts for the different numbers of rooms, whether it be 5, 10, 20 or more. And we do have further discounts if you have bigger questions about that. Microphones, here are the cables that the cable that Rob talked about. And hey, we're at 2:59, or we're right at the top of the hour. So I'm going to encourage people again to go to
Hey,
successforhearingloss.com.
Karen, can I jump in real quick
Oh,
here?
please do.
Yeah, just one real quick question. So some comments here. It's absolutely fine for you to set up your own personal trial and then later do one for your school. So you're not limited to just one trial or something like that. So yes, to answer the questions, when you're setting up a trial, you're encouraged just to go ahead and set one up for yourself and play with it. and use it on your own. And then later on, once you show this to the various folks at your school, you can set one up for your school, set up the website for your school. So it's absolutely fine to do 2 trials. You're not limited to just one. Sorry about that. Just
That's
wanted to
okay.
get
No,
that in there before we signed off.
I have a question for you. Since we have people online from Australia and Britain, and knowing that we have many classroom teachers who come from other countries and might have a Spanish accent, how does Streamer handle accents when we're talking about accuracy of captioning?
Yeah, no, I can show you that. Let's see. I'm going to jump over here to the accounts. Um, and when I go in here, you can see some of the languages that we support. And actually, it's quite a few more than what's shown on this particular list here. But here, for example, is the United Kingdom and Australian accents. And yes, within the UK, there's a lot of different varieties, just like within the US. And definitely, we now support right around 100 different dialects. And we've done that in the software. We just haven't exposed them yet in the menu. So if there's a language or a dialect that you need that isn't here, let us know and we can add that. And it'll be roughly about 4 weeks before we update this menu interface to expose all the languages that we support. But definitely different dialects are supported, and it works quite well doing that. So, okay.
Okay. Thanks, Rob. We need to tie it up now. And thank you again, everybody, for attending our webinar. I hope you've learned a lot, and I hope you're anxious to go out and give Streamer a try on your own. You can expect to get an email from Mike Massini probably by the end of tomorrow that includes the slides and a link to this recording and some of the information that Rob has talked about. So once you receive that email from Mike, you have a perfect opportunity just to email Mike with any questions that might have popped up between now and then. And he is there to help you answer some of your specific questions about deployment of a streamer in the classroom. So thanks again, everybody. Your time is vastly appreciated. And again, send me an email if you want that certificate between now and the end of tomorrow. Bye-bye for now. Thanks, Rob.